brethren, I am here today with, oh, by the way, that's like the ending of a song I wrote way back in '89 when my wife and I had a band together and we used to do all our own stuff. I don't think it's aged very well, so I'm not going to post it. But that was the end of the song that I wrote many, many years ago. Anyhow, this is my latest Thunderbird. I picked up this 2024 Heritage Cherry Gibson Nonreverse Thunderbird IV at, where else? The Great House of Guitars, where I do much of my shopping. And for full disclosure, I am an employee there. I've been associated with them since, 1976. Actually, my first parents bought my first guitar there in 1967, and then my first bass in 1970. I got to do something about that thing, really, Scott. Anyhow, so we're going to talk about this Thunderbird today. And before we do that, I got up my game, folks. It is not all that good. So I'm going to beg you for hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I need followers, my friends. I cannot do this without you guys. So I'm grateful for all my my first generation followers, but I need more. So like I need more bases, I need more followers. So like and subscribe, please. So let's get back into Gibson's reincarnation of the non-reverse Thunderbird. The last non-reverse Thunderbirds were made were, well, the 60s ones, they stopped production in 1969. Then briefly in 2013, they did a run of 400 Pelham Blue non-reverse Thunderbirds with black hardware and the dreaded TB Plus pickups. So in this incarnation that came about, I think in, oh my gosh, I think it was like 2020 or 2019. Check me in the comments, guys. I can't remember. Gibson released their latest edition of the non-reverse Thunderbird, and it is the first Gibson Thunderbird to be equipped with 60s humbucking pickups, 60 spec humbucking pickups, since the 1960s. These pickups sound great. They have that treble and mid response and that inherent mild distortion that gives the Thunderbirds their throaty grit. So this bass sounds like a Thunderbird should, to me, in my opinion. And my benchmark, of course, is the 60s Thunderbirds. So what we have is all mahogany construction. The 3-point bridge. Gibson, please, please hear me when I say this. Every Thunderbird player on the planet wants to see a return of the tune-o-matic bridge, like on the 60s birds, and that Epiphone puts on their vintage Pro Thunderbirds and their now 64 Thunderbirds. Please, begging. There's a few things that keep this bass from being near perfect. That's one of them. The other is the dinky headstock. Seriously, it's cartoon-like on a guitar this size, on a bass this size. Let's go back to the big headstock. I'm no expert, but I think any little change you make in an instrument does change its tone. I have a friend who plays double bass for the Rochester Philharmonic. He also builds classical instruments and repairs classical instruments. I jokingly said to him one day, I think the tone lives in the headstock, man. He says, you're not wrong. So there's some anecdotal information. So do a survey, find a study group, but I think you're going to find all us bird players would love the return of the big headstock. And while we're on it, 1.6 of the nut. I don't mind, it's manageable. I have plenty of basses with the 1.6 or a little bigger, but I really love a 1.5, which is traditional for Thunderbirds. I'd love to see the return of the 1.5 nut width. If those 3 changes were made, I would give this bass 5 stars out of 5, man. Right now it's about a 4.5, and that's just my opinion. Beautifully made, sounds great, but there's some little tweaks that I would really love to see. One really smart thing Gibson did was non-reverse Thunderbirds from the 60s, very thin bodies. They used the same body for the guitar as they did for the bass, which is kind of mind-blowing. So what you ended up with, because the bodies were so thin, they varied widely, but an 1.25 inches thick is a good average. You ended up with a wildly neck-heavy bass, and that bothers a lot of people. Me personally, I've been playing non-reverse Thunderbird so long I don't even notice it. But I dig it, man. I get why neck dive is an issue for some players. So what Gibson did on this non-reverse is they made the body It's just under 1.5 inches thick, so it's a much has much more mass, and it hangs really well. So that's a really nice change that Gibson did. The not historically accurate pickguard I can forgive, but I'd really love to see big headstock, 1.5 at the nut, two pneumatic, 2-point bridge with the airfoil tailpiece, please, begging. So back to what the bass sounds like. I'm going to start with a neck pickup because you guys know me. I love the centrally located pickup. I'm not much of a bridge pickup guy, and you know, it's just the way it is. So we'll just play a little. I am using on my Fender Rumble 800 stage the studio preamp. I love old British stuff, so I've usually got a high watt or the orange setting or something like that, or a Marshall. I'm going to give you a little more cleaner demonstration. So you can hear the sound of the bass. I've had requests for that, so I'm trying to be reactive and, you know, help my subscribers out. So let's hear what she sounds like. Friends, sounds like a Thunderbird to me. Big, throaty sound, just lots of top with mid, and it's got this mild inherent distortion all its own. Original 60s Thunderbird, I can't talk. Original 60s Thunderbird pickups were very simple, very much like a Les Paul pickup. 2 coils, humbucking pickup, but instead of pole piece, they had blades running through them. And so they're great for, you know, bending note. Helps with turn up the volume. You get a very even response when you bend notes, which I do quite a bit. And again, the pickups really have this, you know, nice biting mid-range treble response with this inherent distortion that gives them a grit all their own without, you know, without having a tube amplifier. I really, I always kind of thought, you know, if the Thunderbird bass was a guitar, it would be like a Les Paul. If that makes any sense to anybody. Now we'll demo the bridge pickup. I did lower it, so you're not going to get, this will be more of a tone demonstration. The volume's going to be a little low. So my apologies for the low output, but you guys know me. These things get in my way, so I just crank them down and leave them. So with a pick, I love a good pick. I can't remember the song. I used to play this all the time. For you. But anyhow, I really like these basses. I'm going to keep it short because I have several other videos on Gibson's contemporary non-reverse Thunderbird. So here it is in the cherry, transparent Heritage Cherry, and it's just beautiful. I love it over the mahogany. It's a stunning bass. So if you're looking for one, I highly suggest them. Again, I would love to thank my sponsors. They're not really my sponsors, but I'm going to give them a plug anyhow. They sort of are. The great House of Guitars. well hung strap locks that keep my Thunderbirds nice and safe, and Whirlwind audio for keeping me connected these 40 plus some odd years. So until next time, keep on rocking.